Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how to run a program as a systemd service on a systemd flavor of Linux. I'm personally using Raspbian, which ships with Raspberry Pi, but the same will apply to Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux, etc. Systemd about a decade ago tended to be a bit more controversial because it was replacing a lot of the init systems that existed. There's still a diversity of init and system daemon managers in Linux. However, systemd tends to be the most popular, especially in an enterprise context. Most of the reasons why people don't like it at this point tend to be ideological. They think it's too bloated, it does too much, it centralizes power with Red Hat. Those things aside, which those can all be, I think, reasonable criticisms of the whole idea of systemd in general. It is a very capable service manager, and I want to showcase that today. So let's say I have this application here, the source.timeapp, and if I take a look, it's just a Node.js application. And if I take a look at the source code, we're not doing really anything interesting, but there's a bug in this source code. So we just print out, whenever somebody reaches out to the URL, we print out the current date time. But then there's a bug that the process will exit every time this route is served. So I can actually show that. If I run my application over here, everything's good to go, and I curl localhost 3000, well, I get the time, but then my application shuts down. So if I try that again, we get a fail to connect. When you're running a server, one of the things that you want is for your server to restart on crashes most of the time, if it's just some kind of transient failure that can be restarted from. This way, you don't have to constantly SSH into your server and restart it yourself. So the way that we can do this, there are a number of different ways, but the most common one is to turn it into a systemd service. So in order to start doing that, we have to create what's called a systemd unit file. I have one already pre-made here called time_app.service. So let's go ahead and we'll edit this. You can use whatever text editor you want. So description, this is just for human readable documentation. This is a time application. And it starts after the network target, which makes sense because we're going to be serving this over the network. It's a simple service. We're going to be running this as myself. The working directory, we're going to, I've actually preset one up. So it's, I believe is it services? Let me check. Yeah. So services, time app is going to be our working directory. And we are going to be running services /bin/node. That's where my production node instance is installed. And we're going to be running, in this case, index.js because it's in the same directory. Okay, that looks good. And then we want to always restart. So if it fails, we restart. And we'll set the restart second just to 1 so we don't have to wait too long on it. Sure, we'll go ahead and set the node into env to production. I don't know if that's going to have any kind of bearing on how I use it. And then we have this installed. So after the multi-user is brought up, this service will be brought up. Okay, so now we have what we need. So we need to put this service in place. So we're going to sudo. Again, you need to be a super user to do this well. You can actually run, as far as I understand, you can run systemd services in kind of non-standard locations. But what I'm showing you tends to be the most standard. So we'll do sudo copy. We're going to copy the service into etc systemd system. Okay. And then we are going to, let me just make sure everything looks good there. Etc systemd system. Grep for time. Yeah. Time app. Okay, that looks good. So now we need to actually reload systemd so it picks it up. So we'll type sudo systemctl daemon reload. Okay, so now our new service should be available. So if I type sudo systemctl status time app, it's inactive, it's dead, it's never actually been loaded, but that means that the service file is ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the information in the places we need to. So we're going to copy our index file into our services. I don't think I actually have a time app folder set up yet, so cd services, and I'm going to make this time app And just notice I'm putting these things at the root level. I have my source file at the root level and my services folder at the root level. You can put these things wherever you want. This is just tends to be what was the easiest for me, especially just for exemplary purposes. You may want to put them in different Etsy directories or a different directory structure altogether. This is just what I'm doing. Okay, so we have our time app, and if I look in our time app, we haven't copied that over yet, so we'll copy that. Okay, so that should be good to go. Famous last words. Let's try starting this service. Systemctl start time app. Okay, let's run our status again and see how it's going. Okay, well, it appears to be running. We see some logs down there at the bottom. Let's check journal CTL. -u time app. Cool, and we see its logs. Now what should happen is I should curl. Cool, and that works just fine. But my application theoretically should have stopped because the process exits. But I bet if I run it again, look, I'm still able to get the time. If I run it too much, I'm catching it before it restarts. But see, even though my program is dying every time I run this, I'm able to recover from failure. This is a pretty extreme example, but if you had an application where maybe there was a bug somewhere that shut your application down or made it crash, once every week or once every month, that makes systemd a really good candidate to restart it. There's one other thing that we can do before we finish, just to harden the service a little bit. So if I clear this, I'll do sudo systemctl enable time app. And I know originally the file was time app service. Technically, I can still refer to it as time app.service. Okay, what that does is now if I were to shut off my server and it were to come back up, the time app will automatically start with its other services. So there are 100 different ways to configure a systemd service. This is just one way to do it. If you're using security enhanced Linux, it's going to look a little bit different because some of the things that I did of just copying files and changing ownership that I did before I recorded the video are a little more difficult. But this is pretty typical of how you get a server application running.